Stay.
Monument, Colorado SkyShare, September 12, 2013.
The National Weather Service in Denver has issued a flash flood warning for western Arapahoe County, eastern Douglas County, southeast Denver County until 9 p.m. At 4:58 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, Doppler radar and automated rain gauges indicated that moderate to heavy rain was falling in a band that stretched from northwest Aurora across Centennial and south to Castle Rock. 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of rain has fallen since 4 p.m., but ground is saturated from the recent rains, and areas of Aurora are inundated from the heavy rain earlier today. Some locations that will experience flooding include Denver, southwestern Aurora, Centennial, eastern Highlands Ranch, Castle Rock, Parker, Greenwood Village, Lone Tree, Franktown Three Ridge, The Pinery, Beverly Hills, Buckley Air Force Base, Sedalia and Perry Park. Precautionary preparedness actions. Move to higher ground now. Act quickly to protect your life. As the band of rainfall remains over the warned area this evening, rapid stream rises and flooding of roadways and urban areas can be expected. Excessive runoff from heavy rainfall will cause flooding of small creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses, as well as other drainage areas and low-lying spots.
Okay, there you have it. Pay attention. A couple of comments and a couple of questions here. The first comment is, even though it may not be raining in your area, you ought to be aware that in this kind of storm, particularly as the water descends out of the mountains down the Front Range into the watershed, and it hits this urban area, the flooding will get even worse because despite all the efforts of floodplain managers and despite all the efforts of engineers and everybody else to divert and direct the water, there's only so much capacity in these diversion canals, in the sewer systems and everything else. And once that reaches capacity, the water, I think we oftentimes forget how powerful water is and how strong it can be. And it will seek its lowest point. It will continue on its path to the eastern plains long after the rain has stopped. So my guess is, my just years of experience and this kind of stuff tells me that we're in for a big surprise later this evening as the waters continue to come down out of the mountains. The other thing we ought to be aware of, the other reason that I think that's true is, with all the damage we've had on the roads, US 36 and others. Oh, by the way, let me remind you something about Estes Park in a second. The debris field that builds up as this water moves down the canyons, the debris field might divert or stop some of that water for a little while. I mean, it may, for maybe minutes, maybe hours, and then the debris field itself will break, and that water will continue its path out onto the eastern plains. So I just want to remind everybody that even though you may be in an area where it's not raining, that doesn't mean that flood's not going to occur and is not continuing to occur. The other thing that just drives me nuts, used to talk about this at FEMA an awful lot, and that's the power of this water as it's crossing roadways. And our friend that called in earlier about Highway 93 and they were inching along at 5 miles an hour, he admitted that was a dumb thing to do. But it's also a dangerous thing to do because you can't always gauge how deep that water is. And I know, I think the mayor's office and the governor's office and a few other places have put out some advisories about how 1 foot of water is enough to move a car. My experience is, if the water is moving fast enough, depending on the car, 6 inches of water is enough to move a car off the roadway into a ditch. And every year, every time these floods occur, whether it's in Colorado or it's California or it's Oklahoma, Wyoming, Nebraska, wherever it happens to be, people get stranded. If you get stranded, if you pull one of those jobs and you end up getting stranded in your car, stay in your car. Do not get out of your car. You cannot maintain your equilibrium in a flash flood. Or for that matter, you ever been fly fishing? You ever been fly fishing or whitewater rafting? Fallen out? Or gotten in the stream? That water is powerful, can knock you over and can move you down. And I want to encourage people not to get out of their cars if they find themselves in one of these situations where they've done, like our friend said earlier, made a dumb move and was driving along at 5 miles an hour. So the other thing I want to say, then we'll go straight to Kathy, is I'm looking for information on Waterton Canyon for a listener. So any info you might have about Waterton Canyon, I'd like to hear that. Also, we had a caller call in, and this was true as of about 30 minutes ago. There is now a second way to get out of Estes Park, and you can take Highway 7 and stay on peak to peak. You got to stay on peak to peak all the way to 70, but you can get out of Estes by taking Highway 7. So with that, I want to turn it over to the news director, Kathy Walker. What do you have for us?
Well, we have some updated evacuations in Longmont.
Oh,
that is
no.
kind of the new frightening place
Yeah.
of the afternoon. The Creekside neighborhood near Plateau Road and Hover Street, which is near Left-Hand Creek. The Longmont Estate Greens and Champion Greens neighborhood, which is near 9th Avenue and Airport Road. The Valley neighborhood near Hayden Court and 9th Avenue, and the Golden Ponds neighborhood near the south edges of Allen Drive and Hover Street. These neighborhoods are all near the St. Vrain River. They are ordering evacuations, of course, in the Willow Creek neighborhoods, Grandview Meadows. These neighborhoods are bordered by Nelson Road, Quail Road, Fordham Street, and Peck Drive.
Gee, we got friends in every one of those neighborhoods, I think.
Do you? Yeah, I mean, it's one of those areas that, nice homes and evacuations are underway. We do know that all of the drinking water in Longmont is safe. This is where we get into we have too many towns in that part of the world that have L's in them. It is Lyons where they are under a boil water order, but Longmont's water is just fabulous. Obviously, you were interrupted just moments ago by the EAS, and so that means we have flash flood warnings really for the Denver metro area, western Arapahoe County, eastern Douglas County, southeast Denver County until 9 o'clock tonight.